Hello and welcome to SoCal Prep Report. My name is Randy Rosenblum alongside Eric Sotheimer of the Los Angeles Times. Of course, Eric, I love your new attire. That coat looks great on you.
Yes, Randy, thank you so much for getting me, let me borrow your coat. But it looks like I'm a little big or small for it.
You are a little small for it. I think you've lost weight. I think he's looking svelte.
But thank you.
He looks good.
Thank you.
Actually, he forgot his coat, and I brought an extra one
Thank
for
you.
him. So I had it in the car. All right, I know you were out at that Bishop Gorman St. John Bosco game, won by Gorman 35-20. Tate Martell, their quarterback, was splendid.
Yes, this kid is going to Ohio State. He has never lost a high school football game, and he really showed the type of player and talent he is. His running, his passing, his leading. He's a little bit cocky, but he backs it up. I mean, he ran for over 100 yards. He passed for about 178 yards. And St. John Bosco is a very good team. They were up 14-0, but Tate Martell just turns it on. And I really like St. John Bosco's junior quarterback, Real Mitchell. He's probably the fastest quarterback in Southern California, but Bishop Gorman's defense really shut him down in the second half. And Tate Martell, he just does not lose games. He beat Josh Rosen 2 years ago as a 10th grader.
Well, again, you mentioned he's going to Ohio State to play for the Buckeyes and Urban Meyer. The city got some revenge against the Southern section this week. Throughout the early part of the year, the Southern section was dominating the city, but Narbonne stepped up all season long, and so did some other schools. And we'll first pinpoint Narbonne, the Gauchos. At home, game a little bit closer than this score indicates. Narbonne beats Palos Verdes 28-7. Quarterback Jalen Chapman throws 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to his outstanding friend and wide receiver, Trey Walker.
Yeah, Trey Walker is really becoming one of the top receivers in the city section. As Chapman gets better, Narbonne is just going to get better because we already know they're solid on defense. They have all those linebackers. You know, Julian Lewis is his name. He's really the backup, but he's also the leading tackler. And it just shows you the depth that Narbonne has on defense. I really believe that Narbonne is not going to lose the rest of the year. I said that last year at one point, and I'm saying it again. They're just going to keep getting better. And Chapman, only a junior, he's going to be a college player, somebody like Troy Williams now at Utah. He's really going to become a very good player.
And their front seven at Narbonne, he's talking linebackers, but there's a number of those players at Narbonne for the Gauchos that'll play D1. A great week for Harvard Westlake, they thought. They had a huge lead. They're up 18 points, and suddenly Garfield and quarterback Henry Polanco turn it on, rally, and win the game 38-31.
Yeah, 18 points down. Polanco had 3 rushing touchdowns, ran for over 100 yards, passed for over 200 yards. Huge win for Garfield because they also picked up another victory this week by forfeit over Alamany. So Lorenzo Hernandez, instead of being 1-2, is 2-1. Any coach will be happy to get 2 wins in 1 week.
I can't remember a team winning 2 games in a week. Can you, Eric?
Yeah, I'm sure it has happened. We have forfeits every year, Randy.
But 2 games in the same week and against Southern section opponents. Congratulations, Lorenzo. Take them any way you can get them. Banny's taking them every week. Banning is undefeated. They're 3-0, and they really handled Milliken 50-18. They continue to perform.
Yeah, I have to give you a little bit of credit here, Randy.
Just a little.
A little, because you said Banning was going to be very good, and they're living up to expectations and more. Miles Porter, the quarterback's doing a great job. Also, Joe Villarreal is picking up the touchdowns when needed. Coach John Aponte is in his 4th year, ex-Marine, really doing a terrific job of playing this team, getting this team ready to go week after week. They're not looking ahead. And even though they play Narbonne in the last game of the year, they're really focusing each week, and I think that's really important for them.
San Pedro 25, Redondo 6. Big win for the Pirates. Kai Kaneshiro had a 41-yard touchdown run. Sean Davenport also got in from 25 yards out. Pirates are 2-1 under Corey Miller.
Yeah, San Pedro has some great games ahead. I'm looking forward to October 22nd at the Coliseum. You're going to have a doubleheader. Dorsey plays Crenshaw at 10 a.m., followed by San Pedro versus Banning. That's going to be a great doubleheader. I think you're going to do it for Time Warner, and I definitely hope I will be out there too.
I'll give you a ride. El Camino Real 26, Agoura 24. I told you the city knocked off some of those Southern section schools. Quarterback Wes Crockett throwing for better than 200 yards.
Yeah, and Liddell Atkins is really showing a lot of sacrifice here. He's their star running back, but he caught 173 yards receiving. They got a transfer from Texas to play a little bit of running back. So he's giving in to help the team win, and that's always encouraging.
Quick shout out for Grant High School in the Valley. They look very good in the East Valley League.
Yeah, they're going to be the favorite in the East Valley League. They have a very good quarterback, multi-dimensional in Cameron Perry, and they're beating some teams that they should win, and then we'll see later on when the going gets a little tougher how they'll do.
Hamilton 40, Southeast 8. We're going to talk about that game when we come back, but it was not a good game for the Jags.
No, but I really think that Hamilton is a good team out in the Western League. They played really well against Hawkins in the opener, and Hawkins is one of the most talented teams around. So I think Hamilton and Fairfax and Venice and Palisades, they're all going to go at it in the Western League.
And the Southeast team is still confident. And when we come back, we'll talk to their head coach, that's Ken Gates, and his star quarterback, Edward Norton. That's next on SoCal Prep Report.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy. Oh, and she even talks to it. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Time to talk Southeast Jaguar football. The Jags had a tough week last week against Hamilton. They have a bye this week, but they have the very fine first-year head coach with us, Glenn Gates, and his outstanding quarterback, who's put up some huge numbers already this year in Edward Norton. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, Coach. We talked before last week. You're going to play Hamilton. You were 1-1. You had a big win over Gardena. You nearly knocked off Carson at Carson. And then at Hamilton, what happened? You weren't in the game.
Yeah. I got to give it out to the Hamilton coaching staff. They did a really good job preparing for us, and our guys just didn't get up for that game. We didn't play well. It's not indicative to our kids. We just got to do a better job as coaches preparing our guys for a game like that.
How does that happen? Either one of you can answer, but Edward, I'll take that to you. I mean, how does it happen when you play well through the first 2 weeks? And I know you had the crushing, close loss to Carson. How do you go out and lay that egg at Hamilton?
Yeah, well, our coach gave us a game plan. Offense, we really didn't execute well. We gave our defense bad field position on the field, so we just had to come out and execute, and we didn't do that.
The good news is you have him as your quarterback, and he ran for over 280 yards against Carson. Describe the type of quarterback that Edward is. He's only a junior.
Well, we definitely like Edward, his style. He is a very aggressive quarterback. He is very good with the ball in his hands. He has more confidence with the ball in his hands, and we're still learning how to use him. It's almost having a great gifts and not knowing how to use it yet, but he's done some really good things in the first couple games, and we're going to continue to grow with him and develop him and make him into a superstar.
Right. Edward, you like to run, but quarterbacks have been told how to slide. Do you know how to slide yet?
Not really. I don't think about sliding. I just want to make big plays for my team, and my offense helped me a lot with that.
Right. Have you taught him how to slide yet?
No, we haven't really taught him how to slide. We don't want him to slide. We want him at the high school level. We think that a guy like him, we don't want to bottom him up. We just want to release him and let him do what he can do.
You know, I'm impressed with your attitude because you're still so confident about this football team. Even though you're 1-2 and you're going to be in a pretty tough Eastern League, and Garfield has been the powerful team in recent years, you're confident you have a chance to win the league championship.
Oh yeah, that's a goal of ours. We've been working extremely hard in the offseason. We have some really dynamic players, and Lawrence Nern, and up front, Stephen Portas and Isaiah Flanagan are really big guys on our line that we really feel confident about. And we have a guy right here, Edward Norton, that can lead us. And we feel that we have a group, a nucleus of guys. Our coaching staff, our young DC, Charles Ely, is a dynamic DC, and we feel like we have a group that teams are really going to really struggle with us coming up in league play.
Edward, you have kind of a fast break offense. The tempo's real quick. I know it's a spread offense. Tell us your responsibilities, what you try to get accomplished while running the team.
What I try to get accomplished is I try to get the plays in really quick with the O-line because they got to make their calls, and we need every call we could get. And we just try to move as fast as we can down the field.
Coach, you're in the Eastern League, and there's a lot of rivalries. I mean, in Southgate, they have 3 schools now, Southeast, Southgate, and Legacy. I mean, this is your first year experience there, but what have people told you? They said, you better not lose to Southgate, right?
Well, I can truly appreciate the rivalries there. You know, what's really key about these rivalries is all the kids know each other. You know, from Legacy to Southgate, And I really appreciate that. I love the city of Southgate. I just got there, but I've been enthralled in the rivalry aspect of even from businesses to families. It's all about we need that trophy back. They've had it for the last 2 years. And I enjoy talking about it with our students and with people in our community. I'm excited to get to that game when we get there.
All right, let's talk a little defense. I'm going to start with Edward because you're in the safety slot. So you're going from the quarterback position on offense and you play safety on defense.
Yes, sir.
How do you stay aggressive defensively and protect your body for offense?
Just make smart plays. Don't do anything risky that will get myself hurt. Just make smart plays that are different and just listen to what my DC told me to do.
How do you feel when your quarterback's taking down people in the open field? He's coming up and crashing down on ball carriers. Do you wince a little bit that one of your star players is out there at the defensive side doing that much damage, hitting people?
You're absolutely right. At times you don't want him to, but you know, in high school, your best players have to be on the field. And Edward is one of our better players, and I feel confident, like you said, that he's not going to take that risk. He understands, he has now grown to understand that he is the quarterback, and we do need him to make smart decisions on the field. And plus, we have great players around him that he doesn't have to make all the plays. We have, yeah.
And you used to go to Garfield, so I can imagine what game, the Garfield game will be a little bit more important to you, right? You know a lot of guys on that team.
Yes, sir. It will be really important, that game.
Right. So you're going to be nice to him for the Garfield game. Let him turn him loose.
I'm going to try to.
Right.
I'm going to try to,
Go
yeah.
from there.
A few years ago, it wasn't that long ago, there was a guy by the name of Robert Lewis who was a star running back, went on to Washington State. Southeast actually won a division title, dominant program. How far out are you to being back to the team from 4 or 5 years ago?
Well, you know, this team right here, we have 25 seniors, and we have kids that are really hungry. We have a kid, Lawrence Nern, that is our Robert Lewis type player. I mean, he is extremely dynamic. We feel that he is going to contend for MVP stature. And we really believe that this team, along with this young quarterback, can lead us to that same opportunity.
And I would like to point out they were Division II back when Robert Lewis was playing. They're now in Division I with Narbonne. That's a big change.
Yeah.
Well, you still got to win football games.
Yeah, one game at a time, one opportunity at a time. We talk about it a lot. We don't talk about the big prize. We talk about handling our opponent that week. And we've done I got to give it to our kids, man. I'm very proud of them. As much as we lost that game, you can talk to each man by man. We know that we gave that game up.
And what do you do during a bye week? Because you don't just rest on the laurels, right? You try to correct the mistakes.
They do television shows.
That's right. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Well, we go back to the basics. We got to find out where we're missing, what we're missing, and we got to correct those issues. The whole point, the whole goal for our program is development. You know, from a younger level to our varsity level, we got to develop each week. The goal is not necessarily to win Hamilton. You know, the goal is to get the trophy back and to win league. So those are some of our goals for the year. And we're trying to do those things. And this bye week, we're going right back to the basics, tackling, running, hitting, throwing, getting our kids back into condition. Because we know this second half, we got big time games like San Pedro coming up, obviously the the Southgate game, and then the Garfield game. So we got some big time opponents that we're ready for.
Well, gentlemen, we thank you for coming in. Edward, just a junior, got a big future in front of you. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations on that marvelous performance against Carson. Coach, build a program. I know down the road you want to play the Narbonnes of this world, and you think the program at Southeast can get there. Best of luck.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, speaking of powerful programs, there's a number of great programs in the Southern section. Our Rich Estrella has another Southern section report.
What's happening in LA? I'm Arian Alexander. A week full of music, food, and movies? Sounds like a perfect week to me. You'll love our top picks this week. Zocalo Public Square is getting cinematic this summer with an outdoor movie series in downtown Los Angeles. This Saturday, watch Rushmore, the godfather of eccentric teenage films. Max Fisher, a poor student with a brilliant mind, makes friends with Bill Murray's rich industrialist. It's a perfect night to grab a taco, a beer, and watch this quirky summertime flick under the downtown LA lights at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. The screening is free. Just RSVP at ZocaloPublicSquare.org. This weekend, join the Green Festival Marketplace by exploring over 250 exhibitors, learning from over 50 inspirational speakers, indulging in some delicious vegan or vegetarian food, and learning all you need to know to live a more sustainable lifestyle. Spork Foods will show us how easy it is to make great vegan cuisine. Watch film screenings of Cowspiracy and Speciesism. And don't miss guest speaker, the musician Moby. For tickets, go to greenfestivals.org. The 4th annual Long Beach Folk Revival Festival returns to Rainbow Lagoon Park this Saturday. Headliner, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, will perform and celebrate 50 years as a band. In addition to the great music, all the fan favorites are back, including the signature contests like pie eating, beard and mustache, banjo, food trucks and craft beers, interactive kids area, vintage bazaar, and the craft pavilion. For the full musical lineup and tickets, go to folkrevivalfestival.com. At What's Happening in LA, our job is to find the most unique, fun, and interesting events for you. Your job is to enjoy them. I'm Arian Alexander for What's Happening in LA, and I'll see you next week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Southern Section edition of the SoCal Prep Report. I'm Rich Estrella, and I'm being joined today by my broadcast partner of the franchise, Mr. Bob Gibson. Bob, thanks for joining us again today.
Thanks for having me back in.
Bob, nobody knows more about high school football than you, man. That was your staple for a long time.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
As you know, right now, with no league races, and the season really hasn't even started in terms of league races, and that's where things lie, Bob. You can have a terrible preseason, but still win your league and go on and win CIF. A lot of teams have done that.
I'll give you a perfect example, La Mirada.
Yes,
I
indeed.
mean, they scheduled themselves the Trinity League right off the bat as non-league opponents, and they're getting hammered a little bit here. But you know what? They're going to be better for it. By the time they get to suburban league play, boy, they're really going to flourish, and that's exactly what they did last year when they went on to win a CIF title.
Well, we talked to Tristan Meyer about what the key was, and he says the key is playing these good schools early on.
Yeah.
When you play them early on, you get used to the speed, you get used to the hitting. It's a lot harder, a lot tougher. And by the time you get in your league, things slow down quite a bit.
Oh, it really does.
And it helped them in the playoffs and helped them get to state last year. So they're going with the same formula this year. Defeat Orange Lutheran in their first game. Then they take their lumps against Bosco again, take their lumps against Mater Dei. But let's face it, Mater Dei and Bosco, both at the time were ranked 3rd in the nation, and they're in the same league. I think that makes it the best league in the country.
Oh, without a doubt. And the Trinity's got two of the top 3 or 4 teams, depending on how you have the rankings. Mater Dei and Bosco are easily 2 of the top 5
interchange
teams
them
in the nation. You can have them in any order. But so far, they've played like that, too. Both these schools have just dominated their opposition.
You know, what's funny, though, is, this thing is cyclical. Sometimes Mater Dei will be the top of the Trinity League. Then it'll be Bosco with Servite for a while. Orange Lutheran snuck in there once. Jay Serra's been rumored the up-and-comer, although they haven't gotten there yet. They're trying.
They're good. That's a good team. In any other league, they'd win league titles all day long. But you're right. It's tough to crack it in Trinity.
But last week, that Cerritos College was Servite and De La Salle, the 2 giants. And I could not believe it was a 28-27 game, and Servite was really taking it to De La Salle.
Well, somebody in the know had warned me that De La Salle was not quote-unquote De La Salle this year. That this wasn't the same, program that had won the 148 games in a row, whatever the crazy number was back in the day. But it's still De La Salle. I mean, we're still talking about the premier program in Northern California. So I don't know if it says more about De La Salle, or if it says more about Servite, maybe what that program's starting to do and coming up a little bit here in the Trinity as well.
Yeah, very interesting. We'll see where that ends up, because who knows? Maybe Servite again, and that throws another wrench into that Trinity League. They'll probably end up beating Mater Dei, maybe Bosco. They'll get up there and beat somebody.
If they could play spoiler and take somebody out, what a shock that would be. I mean, I've seen Mater Dei in person. I've not seen Bosco in person yet, just on film. But boy, Mater Dei was as impressive as any team I can remember in the last decade.
What's really good about the early season nowadays is, and I think this is born out of college football, Bob, that top teams are playing top teams in the preseason. For instance, we had IMG Academy from Florida coming in to play Corona Centennial. You have Bishop Gorman, of course, last week. They and Bosco mixed it up, and Gorman's still Gorman, man. Big 38-20 win over the Braves last week. I couldn't believe that score. I watched that game.
You tend to think, hey, when teams come from out of state, you think, okay, is this one of the great teams from out of state, or is this maybe not so great? And it's great to see the talent level go against each other. We know how great the Gorman program is, but how does it stack up against some of the better teams we know we have in Southern California? It stacks up great. I mean, these are great matchups. You're absolutely right. The Honor Bowl did that, a couple of weeks ago in matching up, big time programs like that.
That's right.
It's fun to see. It's fun to see the kids from out of state, the ones you hear about, and the ones are eventually going to go play on Saturdays, and some of them will even play on Sundays eventually.
Well, a lot of the schools will duck in the back. In the old days, they would duck those games.
They would.
They would duck those games. Don't play them. Let's go undefeated. Let's take a shot at the mythical national championship. And, of course, you know, if you're going to do that now, you better play somebody. You better have that signature win on your schedule.
You have to. You can't duck anybody anymore. Some of those programs, some of the South Orange County programs used to duck people and run up undefeated records, but they would never get anywhere in the playoffs. They would never get that chance at a state title. They learned pretty quick in this day and age, you better start stacking some people up on your non-league schedule if you want to try to play in the state game. And the state game is what it's all about right now.
Well, it's good to see the top team in Southern California, which we believe is Corona Centennial, to get back up on the horse and get a big victory over Orange Lutheran. It was, what, 42-14 last week. Usually when you play in a big game, when you're playing the #1 team in the country and you come 1 point and you lose in the last minute of the game, usually that does a lot to your spirit as a team. You kind of get down. The next week you can't concentrate. You're still thinking about what could have been, and you take your focus off. It didn't happen at Corona this week.
You know, and I think a lot of that goes back to their head coach, Matt Logan. I don't think he would let his team have a letdown like that. And I got to believe that he spun it in a way to his kids like, hey, you guys played right there with the best team in the nation.
Right.
They draws from 27 different states. It's an all-star team. And this little neighborhood program of ours played every step of the way there. So be proud of yourself and keep going in this season, because this still can be a very special season for Centennial.
Now, looking at, we'll call the No Love Club this week, Garfield over Harvard Westlake.
Oh,
you know,
boy.
That game, you know, if 3-4 years ago, that score never would have happened.
It would have been the other way around.
Absolutely. It would have been worse.
Yeah, you're right.
Probably was worse at times.
Good for Garfield. I'm glad to see Garfield get back on the map here and then get that program, you know, back up, where it once was.
Garfield High of Los Angeles has been, they step out of their comfort zone. They can win a lot of games if they play down to their level of competition.
It's
but
another one that does play up. You're absolutely right.
They do play up every year. They come in Orange County. They beat the Orange County schools, and they get whipped, and it goes back and forth, and it goes back to the old La Mirada syndrome. Play the good teams early, learn the speed, learn how to hit, and things will fall into place once league starts.
Even if you lose those games,
doesn't matter.
You prove to yourself you can compete with those top programs.
Right.
And then that trickles down to your lower, and then the kids and the freshmen come up, and they know they can play those kind of games too. And eventually, a program like Garfield is going to come up and start winning a few of those games.
Here's the deal: you can go undefeated, but and you can win your league, and you can win CIF. But when they put through the pairings and they put those teams side by side, if you got a Mater Dei on your schedule, a Bosco on your schedule, Corona Centennial on your schedule, Long Beach Poly on your schedule, you got schools like that on your schedule, and even though you lost, you win. Yeah. It's addition by subtraction, as they say, Bob.
Very true.
You know, just you guys win those games, and you'll lose those games, doesn't matter. You played them, the other guy didn't, the other guy would have lost too. You get credit for playing those games.
I was just going to use the same word. You get credit from the scribes and from everybody else in the football community, right, for stepping up to that challenge.
You know, we talked about Hawkins of Los Angeles, one of the newer schools in Los Angeles, and said that, you know, those guys are in our top 10 for a reason. They move up again this week. They had a big win over Carson. What was it, 57-7. I mean, a 50-point win over Carson? Who beats Carson by 50 anymore?
Nobody. I mean, very few people. I mean, this is a Carson program that just a couple of years ago was beating Mater Dei.
Right.
You know, I mean, that shows you where, you know, the thing and how Hawkins has built that, you know, so quickly. Sometimes a new school can do that. Sometimes a new school can come in and
we've seen it time and time again. Absolutely.
Right? They attract that local talent in there, and they'll make a big push. We've seen that before.
All right, let's take a look at our top 10 real quick for this week. Corona Centennial remains in the top spot. They have done nothing to dilute their mark this season. That 1-point loss against one of the top teams in the country, there's no way. Corona stays atop the top 10. Bosco lost last week to Bishop Gorman, but Bishop Gorman is also sitting in one of those 5 polls in the #1 spot. So, and it wasn't as big a blowout as it would have seemed, 38-20. Bosco was in that game until midway through the third quarter, and then Gorman just little by little started pulling away, did a great job. Mater Dei still sitting in the 3rd place. Want to see him play somebody. Really want to see him play somebody. And we'll talk about their game this week. Vista Marietta remains 4, Calabasas, J. Sarah 6, Rancho Cucamonga 7, Oaks Christian sitting in the 8th position, and of course Hawkins number 9, followed by Mission Viejo. Now let's talk about the big matchups for this week. One of them is Mission Viejo, Long Beach Poly.
Yeah, Mission Viejo is going to play Upland this week, and you talk about you wanting to see Mater Dei play somebody. This is a little bit better step up in competition for Mater Dei now. La Mirada was a formidable opponent, but they were a little banged up coming in too. So, and Mater Dei dispatched them pretty easily. So now we'll see what Upland brings. And then, you know, it's really one of the last chances for Mater Dei to really show something before they get into the Trinity schedule. But haven't seen Mater Dei, I tell you, man. I want to see the team that beats Mater Dei this year.
They still
look that good.
Tim Salter's still at Upland. Upland's got 1 loss. And it was against an out-of-state team in Arizona. We don't know how good Mountain Point was, but the fact of the matter is that game is going to be good this week, the Upland ball game. What else we have on the schedule that's good?
Poly very rarely, Long Beach Poly very rarely goes down to South Orange County, but they're going to go down there. They're going to play Mission Viejo. That,
right.
I think, is going to be a fun game because Poly's still Poly. You know, you throw the records out, and even if Poly's having a rough go of it, that's still all those great athletes at Poly. I think it's a big challenge for Mission Viejo. I think they have a lot to prove in this game. If they can handle Poly in this game, then we start talking about Mission Viejo really starting to move up in that top 10.
Well, you know, we'll see what happens with Mission Viejo. You know, Antonio Pierce, the head coach over at Poly, this is his do or die. It's like his 5th year there. He's got to win. You got to win.
You're right. You're right. They start getting restless in Poly. You can only take so many kind of middle of the road seasons. Poly's used to winning championships every year.
And Poly Mission Viejo have already a story behind them. They already have that rivalry. All right, Bob. Hey, thanks a bunch, man, for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, and don't forget to join us on the franchise weeknights after Angels baseball, or we start at 10 o'clock when there's no Angels baseball. On behalf of my partner Bob Gibson, I'm Rich Estrella saying so long from your friends here at the Southern California Southern Section Report.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. You can't control where it will land, only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how to protect your community from wildfires.
Got another great weekend of high school football in the LA City section. Garfield, which picked up a couple wins last week, remember they got that forfeit, they're going to get tested again as they host Crenshaw.
Yeah, this is a very closely matched game. Crenshaw has Dalen Henley at quarterback, and I really like they have a true freshman, 14 years old, playing safety, Jared Greenfield. We're going to be hearing about him a lot, but Garfield is getting better with Polanco and also their running back, Jordan. I really think that they could win, but I'm going to go with Crenshaw.
I agree with you. Birmingham at Dorsey, two teams, okay. They've each won a game, but they're looking for their identity.
No, Dorsey will win this game. Birmingham, even though they won last week, I really think Dorsey's going to outduel them in this one.
I can't argue with that either. I don't think Carson, well, maybe they will. Westchester's undefeated, kind of new terrain for them. I was going to say I think a young Carson team will probably lose at Westchester, but I'm not so sure.
This is an interesting game because Westchester has played very well early on. Their quarterback, Jonathan Murphy, has been a big surprise. I don't know who's going to win. It's just Carson has a lot of tradition going on, but Westchester is confident, so this could be a surprise game for Westchester.
Yeah, we're agreeing on everything. I think Westchester's going to win. Here's another entertaining
I don't
battle.
have an answer for this one.
San Fernando, you got to. You're a pundit on this show. San Fernando at Southgate. Give me a winner.
Come on. San Fernando is unbeaten, but they really haven't played anybody good. Southgate kind of screwed up in the first game. They have Jamal Neal, who's a great player. I'm going to give the edge to San Fernando because I just think their defense has really improved a lot. Though they're going to have to score some points to win this game.
I'm going to go the other way. I'll go with Southgate. Last game we're going to talk about, we think, Dimely at Manual Arts. Crossing my fingers. Are they going to play?
Well, I have no idea because we're still waiting to see. Dimely had to forfeit the game last week because they didn't have a team really. Their coach quit 2 weeks ago. They haven't had enough players passed, cleared to play. You got to practice 10 days. So hopefully they'll be able to have a game. But if they can't play this week, the City Sections already said they're going to cancel the season. That would be sad for the players that actually want to play.
Are you coming back next week? Will I have a host?
I don't know. I hope so.
Okay. Well, I mean, we might not
I
have
will
that
try
game.
and bring my my jacket next week.
No, I like this.
Okay.
I think people will write in and say, that coat looks really good on Eric Sott.
Okay, yeah.
For the legendary Eric Sottheimer of the Los Angeles Times, I'm Randy. We'll see you next time right here on SoCal Prep Report.
Can I give you back your jacket?
Keep your coat.